This meeting is being recorded because you all will want to watch this portion again later. But Jonathan, come on off mute. Please introduce yourself more fully and pave the way for us to learn about managing for performance.
I'm always shocked when I see that picture of my face there that you had on. I'm like, wow, I look like a moon. It's just this kind of like big white circle or sphere. That's why I grew this beard, but just to kind of frame out my face a little bit. Hey, thanks so much for having me, or thanks, Jennifer, for having me, and the rest of you for showing up. That's great. Really appreciate being here. I am passionate about the people side of the business. I sit, just a little bit about me, I sit in the visionary seat at Titus Talent Strategies. We are a company that's run on EOS for 9 years. We've been around 11 years. A little bit of a backstory, you guys will get a kick out of this, is when I joined, I grew up in the traditional recruiting space, the dirty used car sales industry of recruiting. And I switched over and joined this small financial services firm in Milwaukee, Wisconsin called Titus Group. They did tax, audit, internal accounting and finance. And not my background at all, but I came to launch a recruiting division because that's what their clients were asking for. Coming out of the recession, 2008, 2009. And our first client was Milwaukee Tool. Long story there, but we were a couple of years into running this recruiting division in the company. I was sitting with my boss's boss, who was the president and owner of the company, and we had both got a hold of traction. And so we were starting to read it together. We met at a Starbucks at 7 a.m. on Monday mornings in Milwaukee, and we're digging through this thing. And trying to figure out how to run this tiny little group of 10 or 15 people in the business on EOS. The rest of the company was doing their own thing. So we had this little like mini fiefdom of running on EOS. And we had no implementer. We were trying to figure it out on our own, like some of you guys have done, and kind of looking at the book different ways. And I'd never seen the word segue written down. So I'm like, Segu, what is this? I thought Segway was SEGWAY, but here we are, and we're a few weeks into this, and my boss's boss, the president of the company, looks at me and goes, "You're the visionary, and I'm the integrator." And I was like, "What? You know, how is the president of the company saying that I'm the visionary and he's the integrator?" And I saw this wonderful uniqueness of humility in this guy, and I thought, I want to do business with him. So we spun off the business. He went and sold the rest of his business, his company, and came over and has been my integrator. And we've worked together as partners in the business for the last 11 years total. And so that's our kind of mini EOS story. We've doubled in size, just keep kind of growing and evolving. Our 3-year picture that we set in December of last year. And our goals, pretty consistently, we set our goals 20% higher than whatever last year was. So that's how we set our goals, because anything less than that is boring to me. But we set those goals, and by June of this year, we had already exceeded our 3-year picture. So we've hired over 70 people so far this year to join our team. And we got this thing down. Like as a talent strategy company, I better say that we know what we're doing, right, when it comes to hiring. But hiring people on our team, we've got this thing down. I'm in the process of writing this book, Right People, Right Seats. It's a leader's guide to get and manage, hire well, or hire for performance and manage for performance. Right now, the book is blank because I haven't finished it yet. But the publishers agreed to give me this so I could do this thing and wave a book at you, and you'd go, wow, he has a book. I don't, it's empty. But it will be out this year. I had the privilege of speaking at the EOS conference, as Jennifer said. And when it comes to people strategy, one of the components of EOS is process. I am not a process person. I am sort of the stereotypical wild visionary. And I'm really thankful for process-minded people like most of you integrators. And the other component on the other side of the little pie chart is people. And there's a couple of components there, like get it, want it, capacity to do it, and people analyzer and accountability chart. And I found sitting in my seat, looking at our scorecard, and we use some of the technology that's out there, really happy with the score. I just shared we're kind of killing it and crushing our goals, but happy with the scorecard of the company, but I didn't know who was doing all of the work. I didn't quantify my accountability chart. There was no color coding in system. And now, please forgive me, all of you people who are religiously pure when it comes to EOS. There are some things which I'm not entirely pure on. So if you're offended by that, I'm sorry. Okay, so when it comes to the purity of EOS, there are some things I'm like, yeah, but I would love to be able to look at this accountability chart and see almost like who's hitting their performance objectives. If we're running 150%, is it 50% of the company that's doing 150% of the work? I don't know. So the scorecard as a whole was there, but I wanted a scorecard for individuals. I also recognized with 10,000 baby boomers a day retiring in the United States, that there is this sweeping brain drain going on, not just on information of how companies run, but how leadership functions. So experiential leadership and managing in different situations. We have this younger generation, over half the workforce being millennials and Gen Z, and many of them just don't have the richness of leadership experience by experience, not formal training. And we needed to get them that and create coaching cultures. The next component I was struggling with was, how do you coach if you don't know the score? How do you coach if you don't know the score? And I'm going to talk about that in a second, because I think it's really, really important. If you were in a championship game and the coach, number one, missed the first half of the game, the coach wasn't there, and you're playing your hearts out, and it's kind of like get in the locker room, halftime, the buzzer goes, you're in the locker room, and the coach shows up and says, all right, here's what we're going to do. You'd all be looking at the coach going, you wouldn't even do that. How do you even know what was going on in the first half of the game? And that's how many of our managers manage. They're just not that present. They don't know what's going on with their individuals, who's doing what, where they're supposed to be. And worse than that, there was no scoreboard. There's the company scoreboard. There's no individual score. We don't know the score and who's playing what plays. And so how do you really effectively coach when you don't know the score? That was another component, which I was really struggling with, how to create a culture where coaches can coach by knowing the individual scoreboard. You know, the beautiful thing on the VTO, the right sidebar, if you're using the kind of flat VTO, on the right, it says the 3-year picture. I love that. As a business owner, as the visionary, I know what all those numbers mean. And I know what it means by why we do what we do. We have a huge giving goal. By 2030, we want to give away $30 million to transform communities for the greater good. It means a lot to me. I'm like, yes, we're going to exceed that goal. That's great. I'm inspired because I know what those numbers are. The problem is that doesn't translate to the common majority of our team members. The numbers there don't mean anything, and I'll illustrate it this way. If I was to take a screenshot of this group here and email it to everyone, I'll put it on your Slack channel right now, and everyone got a ping and it says, hey, here's the Integrator Community photograph from today. What would each of us do? Who would we be looking for? Yeah, that's right, everyone, unanimously takes their mute off and says, ourselves, we look for ourselves. Like, we'd be looking to see how we looked. Like, oh gosh, why did I look like that? We look at ourselves in any group picture. So in the same way as that, we look for ourselves on an accountability chart with everybody's name on there. If you had it on the wall in your office or you have it on some visual technology, everybody looks for their name on the accountability chart. But the problem with the 3-year picture, where the company is going, there is no picture and there is no accountability chart for that. So people don't see themselves in the future. They can't visualize where they sit in the future. And this was a huge challenge when it comes to engagement, alignment, and retention and development. How am I developing people and what am I developing them for? So we backed our way into that and said, okay, first of all, it's really, really important that that we have a scorecard for individuals that everybody knows quantifiably how they are doing to why we hire them. So I asked the question, why do we hire people? And everyone's like, what do you mean, why do we hire people? I'm like, well, no, what's the point in hiring people? And we concluded that we hire people to get a job done. We hire people to get a job done. So what's the job? So define the job by success, outcome, or performance. What does the person need to do, achieve, or accomplish to be considered successful in this role by their anniversary date? And let's back our way and say, then how would we know if they were successful 90 days in? Exactly what have they done, achieved, or accomplished, and how are we going to evaluate that? And so we created a system now, so everybody has a number of performance and goals that need to be accomplished by their anniversary date, and then we break it down by quarterly rocks, essentially. So that was the first thing that we did, and we used to do this all on Excel. We've now created a whole platform called Manage for Performance, or M4P.app. You're welcome to go there. That was a subliminal pitch. No, it wasn't a sales pitch, but we created it for ourselves out of our own frustration with managing people. And we use traction tools and 90AI. I know a lot of people here use the technologies out there and other systems. But that was great from a company level, but I needed to know on an individual level, how is everyone doing? And then the next part was, where are we going with our 3-year picture? Let's create the accountability chart to mirror and match the 3-year picture. What positions will we need for that 3-year picture? How many more teams, how many more divisions, how many more directors and VPs and controllers and salespeople and marketing people and every other system and seats that you would need in your organization? Let's create that to match the 3-year picture. If I can create that to match the 3-year picture, now I can show people what the company will look like by the amount of employees. And then we can say, okay, what are the performance objectives for each one of these seats? And what are the skills, values, and behaviors needed to get there? Now, I've got any individual employee who's looking to the future accountability chart or org chart or whatever you want to call it, and they can say, where do I want to sit? I'm sitting here now. I'd like to be here. Hey, you might have 3 people wanting that spot. That's fine. But hope and a desired future really drive and fuel engagement. And this, if you have hiring, any one of you, and I'm assuming every one of you will hire in the next 12 months, is no point in hiring A players if you lose them out the door within 12 months. And to get them dialed in to this future, A players make career moves very, very differently than Bs and Cs. So I'll just share with you how A players make career moves, and then we carry on that philosophy. A players make career moves not for money. It is day one, it's got to be a bigger job than I've ever done before. There's something of stretch and challenge on day one. So you don't want to hire somebody who's done the job before. Seriously, we genuinely believe that. Don't hire somebody who's done the job before. Hire somebody where this is a step up or a challenge. That is somebody who's running towards something, not running away from something. Okay, so stretch. The next is year 1 and beyond, they are asking and can see where the company is going and growing. That's where your gold mine is, your VTO. Show them the VTO, put it into a visual that you can actually tell the story of where you're going to prospective candidates. That will attract an A player. They can see growth trajectory. If I do this stuff in year 1, what's next for me? And number 3, impact. They can see what they can do with their skills, history, and background, and their values, how they can make an impact on your organization. They can see how that happens, and they can also see how the impact of your organization on them as an individual. That journey right there is golden for attracting an A player. And we take all of that through. If I was to tell you, hey, give me the name of one A player in your organization, that it would hurt you greatly if you were to lose them today. And then if I was to tell you that 8 out of 10 people in your organization would consider leaving you today if I called them, which is a true statistic. 8 out of 10 would consider exploring a career move if it was truly superior to what they're doing right now. So 8 out of 10, if I ask them, hey, would you consider making a career move if it was truly superior? I have an 8 out of 10 will say yes. And I'm like, great. Music to my ears and our recruiters' ears. And then we say, what would be next? And it will not be, show me the money. It will be stretch, growth, trajectory, impact, relationships with team members. So if that is true, which it is, I got loads of stats to back that up. If that is true, then you need to know growth, stretch, and impact for every one of your team members right now today, starting with your A players. They need to know by staying in your organization that they are stretched, there's a growth trajectory and a plan for them. They can see the impact they're having in your organization and your impact on them non-monetarily. So we used to do this in Excel, and it was very tedious. But we used to do it because I really wanted to make sure that I didn't have risk of losing A players, or I was at least managing the risk. Number one, I want to know who's performing. Number two, I want to know, are they aligned and do they see the values? Are they living the values? Are they seeing the right skills, values, and behaviors being developed and stretched in them? And do they know what's next by way of not just promotion, but career growth? Otherwise, I'm at major, major risk of losing them. So, yeah, my journey has been really kind of propelled forward. We work with about 1,100 companies right now, mainly in the United States. Our team members are in 22 different states, but it doesn't really matter. We're 100% remote or mobile, as we say. We have been for since our very beginning, and it's been a fascinating journey for me, and it gets me really leaning in, understanding people, because there's no science to this. They're people. Every one of us woke up with something going on our world today, which maybe wasn't going on yesterday or last week. And it's kind of like, oh, this is like really, really exciting and fluid to get people kind of running in the same direction and seeing where we're going. Hiring, engagement, retention, leadership development, performance management, all of those things, talent mapping. Who do I need in the future? Do I have them yet today? Developing those. That's what makes our team come alive, our talent consultants. We have fractional talent managers who jump in and they're not HR, we're talent strategists and talent managers. The interesting story, we actually separate our HR from talent management. I have an HR manager who does payroll, benefits, 401ks, all of that kind of stuff. Never made a mistake. Never any issues. Amazing. But not one of our team members would go to our HR manager for real people stuff. They're a compliance-minded person and they're phenomenal at it. But we separate those two roles, and I have somebody on our leadership team who is really the talent development person and really owns the people pillar. That's not certainly. I'm not saying that HR people are not good at it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying in our world, that's what makes a lot of sense. But I'll pause. I know I go pretty fast here, and I probably should have said that I'm bilingual. I can speak American if you need me to, but and I'm pretty fluid at it. But any questions, you can put them private in chat here, or if you've got other ones, if you want to open it up here, or do you need to shift right now to breakouts?
I can't let you open it up. That will take over our very specific agenda. But no, thank you for the invitation.
I'm allowed to do that. Visionaries are allowed to do that.
I know visionaries are, but here's what I would recommend, Jonathan. If you would drop either the best way for people to connect with you, either an email or a LinkedIn, whatever that might be. If they do have questions, drop that into our chat, because we want this community to be connecting with each other outside of this meeting, but we are running a real tight ship here from an agenda standpoint. So
there you go.
There you go. Did everybody see him share?
Control print screen.